Sal Berry and Tim Parish. This is the Puck Junk Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Puck Junk Hockey Podcast. I am Sal Berry and with me is Tim Parish, and today we're going to talk about hockey, and we are going to talk about hockey cards because those two things go hand in hand like I'd say peanut butter and jelly, but I don't like peanut butter and jelly. I like peanut butter and honey, which is probably why I turned into a chubby kid as a teen. But peanut butter and honey, peanut butter and bananas, don't like those either. But you get the idea. Those two things go like peanut butter and chocolate, like a Reese's peanut butter cup, hockey and hockey cards.
That's a lot to digest right off the bat.
Was there a pun intended in that?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so how you been, man? How's life treating you?
I'm all right so far, but there's still time for everything to go horribly wrong.
Well, hopefully not during the duration of this podcast.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
We're usually good in these few hours we spend together.
Yeah. Usually, like, if any stuff comes up, then it's like, okay, we're not going to do a podcast this week, but...
No one's knocked on the door, the room hasn't flooded, and the sky hasn't fallen yet, so we're good.
Yeah, that's right. I remember your hockey room flooded.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about that.
No, that was...
My psychiatrist told me I don't have to share feelings.
No. I just want to thank anybody who started listening to this show recently. I'm not going to get into numbers, but I will say that, like, lately...
I have a list. I'll read the names. Billy and Joey and Steven and Sally and... No, go ahead.
I think those names are made up. I think they're aliases. But anyways, what I wanted to say is that our listenership has grown, over the past couple of months. And I think a lot of that has to do with people who join the Facebook group and then they give this podcast a listen and decide they like it, or people who follow us on Twitter and you're like, oh, you guys have a podcast? Cool, I'll check it out, right? Or people who might meet me at a show and I give them my card and I say, please check out the podcast, and they actually do. So it seems like just slowly but surely our listenership is growing, and that makes me excited because, it's more fun to do something when you actually see people are listening to it.
The more the merrier, I always say.
So what do you want to talk about first? You were laughing about this Pat Maroon and Wayne Simmons thing, and I don't know anything about it, because even though I watched a lot of hockey over the weekend, I didn't watch that game.
I was going to say, yeah, that was a recent game. You didn't watch that one?
I'll tell you why. It was because the Blackhawks were playing. And as you might know, their longtime play-by-play announcer, Pat Foley, is retiring at the end of this season. He has not been doing every single game. They've been bringing in a lot of other people, to kind of like audition for the job. And anyway, Sunday wasn't his last game. But what they did was they brought back Dale Talon to do color commentary, because Pat and Dale from about 82 or 83, whenever Foley joined the team. I should know that year, and that was before I got into hockey. So like early 80s until like the late 90s. Then Talon stepped away to do some front office stuff for the Blackhawks. Then he ended up coming back to the broadcast booth, and then in 2004 he went back into front office stuff. So it was great to hear those two, their rapport, because they had such a great rapport. So there was no way I was going to miss that, even though the Lightning Maple Leaf game was probably a lot better. But so fill me in on what greatness I missed.
I think it's another example in a long line of things that we've talked about here, and it just becomes a discussion in the league, and that's, are we moving forward? Are we moving backward? What are we doing? And this one comes down to officiating a little bit, because both Simmons and Pat Maroon got 10-minute misconduct penalties in the game with the Bolts and the Maple Leafs for just chirping each other. So you saw Simmons was on the bench and Pat Maroon was skating over, and they were jawing with each other and just trading barbs back and forth. And as Maroon got on the bench, he opened the door and got on the bench, and Simmons was hanging over a little bit. Referee comes over and he tosses them both. And everybody's looking around like, what was that all about? And essentially they were given each 10-minute misconducts for just trash talking each other, I guess.
Unsportsmanlike conduct.
And I guess going back into the rule book, if you look at Rule 75, in a situation like something like that, officials should have dished out a minor penalty first before they went to the misconduct. But that's neither here nor there. Brian Engblom was in the center between benches, and I guess made mention of the fact that Maroon said something to Simmons along the lines of, yeah, you're not even going to be in the league next year, so shut up or whatever. And I don't even know what that means. I guess that was supposed to be some kind of insult, which I seriously doubt Wayne Simmons will be out of the league next year, but whatever. But yeah, I guess the referee said something. This is just a rumor that was floating around, but the referee said something to the fact like, you guys need to shut it because what you're like, the stuff you're saying doesn't make for good TV or something like that.
Okay.
Like it was going to get picked up on the microphones or the cameras or whatever because it was a televised game. So I don't know. It's another in a long line of the league trying to like navigate its way through something that it doesn't need to, like trying to figure out what this should be and what that should be and just consistency on things. Guys chirping, and it happens constantly. If they start doling out penalties for guys trash talking each other, I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, that's what it is in any sport. And yeah, there's a line that you can cross, right? By just friendly trash talking versus like straight up insensitive insults. But I don't know. That's just me. I don't care that athletes are trash talking each other. They're way better at their jobs than I am at mine. So, if I was that good at my job, I would be trash talking everybody every day too.
I wonder if it's just like how much BS the refs want to tolerate. Like, it's like if you're road tripping and like when your sons were much, much younger and they're in the back seat and maybe they're fighting or arguing or whatever. And some days you're just like, I'm going to let them figure it out. And other days you turn around like, okay, you two little monsters, if you don't shut the hell up, I'm turning this car around and we're going home and we're not getting ice cream. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder sometimes if referees are like, you know what, I'm just going to penalize this guy because I don't want to put up with this shit all night. You know what I mean? Like, I know they can't just penalize.
Oh, we know they do.
Feel
we
like
obviously
it,
know they do, but
I think
this is a situation where I think it just was like to make that call just like out of the blue like that. That's weird.
Maybe they just didn't want to hear it. Like
At least skate over there and say, you know what, enough. If I hear another thing out of you, you're both getting tossed, and leave it at that, and let the game move on.
Yeah.
But instead, you toss two players out that they're impactful players.
Yes.
These aren't scrub guys.
Well,
I mean,
they're third line guys.
They're both role players. Simmons is a net front presence.
Yep.
Maroon goes out there and he's been, especially this past year, I mean, he's been playing pretty decent. So it's like, here you lost two guys for 10 minutes.
Right.
So they were offsetting penalties, but still,
it's a little harsh. I get it.
Yeah, I think it's just a little much. Just a little much. And of course, everybody had stuff to say about it afterwards and everything else. But I just thought it was interesting that if they're trying to set some kind of precedent here, like you're not allowed to say anything, talk to each other, say bad stuff. I don't think they were insulting each other's mothers or anything like that.
Right. Wasn't getting
like,
too personal.
It wasn't a your mama joke contest.
Mm-hmm.
Although that would be funny. But
anyway, moving on. You want to talk about the Nick Suzuki thing?
Oh, yeah. So the Habs and Leafs game the other night, it's at Scotiabank, and there was a little kid I think it was maybe during warm-ups or something. I don't know, but there's a little kid, he had a sign trying to get Suzuki's attention about getting a puck or whatever and taking a selfie. And so Suzuki skated over and tossed the puck over, and the kid reached up to catch the puck and missed, and it smacked him right in the mouth. Busts his mouth open, so the kid's bleeding. It's a little kid, so he's crying, everything else. So Nick feels bad, being a nice guy, gives the kid his stick. Great thing. Takes a picture with him. There's pictures posted all over social media of this little kid crying his eyes out with Nick Suzuki in the shot. So it's kind of funny. But he basically gives him his hockey stick,
Mm-hmm.
and at some point along the line, the dad tells the story, and I didn't find it on the other social medias because I'm not on there, but I was told that he's posting similar stories on other social media platforms. But I saw on Twitter that he posted talking about the event and mentioned the fact that they were tossed out because they couldn't have a stick in their possession because a stick is considered a weapon and no one's allowed to have weapons in the building.
Mm-hmm.
To which I was like, huh, well, that kind of sucks. Because I can imagine anything could be considered a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
But a stick, I guess, is a little more so. Though I don't know that anybody's going to, although plenty of drunk people in the crowd. Anyway, yeah, so couldn't have the stick. It's considered a weapon. And he made it out to be that they were tossed out of the arena. They had to leave.
Hmm.
Now, Scotiabank released a statement after trying to remedy the situation, apparently. And I feel like this guy's just like kind of fishing to try to get free stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just me. But yeah, so this is the alleged thing is they made him leave. But every arena, pretty much in hockey,
Mm-hmm.
has a similar policy to where if you have things like that, you can check them with like the customer service or concierge or whatever service they have. And then you
Right.
can pick your stuff up at the end
Okay.
when you're going to leave. Because yes, you cannot have that stuff at your seat, right? So making it seem like, oh, this big bad corporation threw out this little kid and his dream was to watch his favorite team play and blah blah blah, I think has gotten overblown because it's a policy to not have that happen. And you do have that option. Sure, one of the options is no, I'm not checking this, so I will see myself out.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in this case, it was, and I don't know. I feel like this guy's like trying to fish for more stuff and use his kid for sympathy for more
Right.
free memorabilia. I don't know. Anybody can have their own opinion on this, but that was just kind of, I sort of felt bad at first when I first started reading it. And then I started getting deeper into the story and I'm like, well, wait a minute. And it just started turning different paths. And I started seeing some of the comments from employees of Scotiabank and
Mm-hmm.
then the customer relations manager of the arena
Mm-hmm.
actually reached out. And then a statement was made by the corporation about it and how either it was a misunderstanding or what, but their policy is, hey, check this and you come pick it up later. By no means you're you being thrown out. So yeah,
What? So they had to leave the game, is what you're saying?
they left the game. Yes,
That's lame. I
so they
mean,
could take their weapon with them.
well, I mean, I guess they could have just like checked the stick, and I mean, if it was check the stick or leave the game, I would have just checked the stick and not thought twice about it.
Because it happens all the time. And then I heard it was like there was only like the third period left or something. I don't know. It is what it is. It's just another in a long line of things where social media grabs a hold of something and maybe twists and turns it
Yeah.
a little bit to be a certain thing. But it was a big to do after that game. So
I'm kind of tired of people using their kids as excuses. And last week I talked about when I was selling at a show and I wanted to sell a card. I don't know if I told the story or not, and I'm going to keep it
yeah,
just kind of
yeah, you did.
keep the details out of it so much.
It's
But
for my
like,
son.
yeah, it was like a $50 card, and the guy wanted to pay me $40, and right there, that's 20% off, and it was a good card of a great player, and it was, to me, it was a $50 card, and then he's just like, oh well, it's for my son, and his son's standing right there. But then I remember like another time, somebody reached out to me via email, and they asked me for something, and they said, I guess I could talk about this because I don't think this person's listening to the show. He said, hey, I see that you posted a picture of the 91 NHL All-Star Game program. I went to that game. I was in college. And he's like, is your program for sale? And I said, you know what? I actually have 2 copies of that program. Let me see if I can find it. And if I can find it, I will sell it to you. So then I find it, It's in great condition. And I said, I will sell it to you for, I think I said like $25. I think I wanted 20 for it plus $5 shipping. And I thought for a 30-year-old NHL All-Star Game program in excellent condition, that seemed fair. And then he emails me back. He's like, oh, well, I mean, I would just give it to my son and I'm not going to resell it. And I'm like thinking, wait, you just told me that you went to this All-Star game back in 91 and you want to get a copy of the All-Star program and wanted to know if I'd sell you my copy. And then when I say, sure, I'll sell it to you, then you're like, oh, well, but you're asking for more than what I want to pay. And I'm just, but it's for my kid. And it's just like, I'm so tired of like, it's for my kid, like, if it's food and shelter and it's for your kid, of course, I get it. But I think beyond that, and of course I could sound jaded like this because I'm not a parent. You are a parent. So you can tell me, am I out of line here? Am I being an insensitive Sal? Not unsensitive, that doesn't make sense. Insensitive Sal, or there's some,
Look,
come on, soccer dad, clue us in.
Soccer, no way.
Sorry, baseball.
Yes, I'll give you the lawyer answer. Yes and no. I don't think you're being too insensitive to that because that is a problem. I liken that to the whole, can you cancel this auction that I won because my son accidentally bid on it? It's like, no, I'm not doing that because it's a bunch of crap and it's fake and you're lying.
Right.
So it's kind of like that. You might have, out of the 10 people that say it to you, 2 of those stories might actually be legit.
Right.
But the problem is, it's the other 8 that ruin it for the 2.
Mm-hmm.
So back when there were only 2, it was probably not a problem. But now there's 10.
Mm-hmm.
And those 8 people ruin it for the other 2. So yeah, do I think any of those stories, sob stories, are ever legit? Sure. I'm sure they are. And I'm sure you can easily figure those ones out. But, if you don't want to pay somebody something because they have it priced higher than you want to pay for it, then just say, oh, no, thanks. Or say, yeah, it's a little more than I wanted to spend, but thanks for offering. And move on with your life. You don't need to try to turn it into, I'm going to guilt them out of it. It's not going to work.
Now, I'm not saying that kids shouldn't get some perks for being kids because you know what? I get it. I like that. Whether it's like, I remember like when your boys were younger, we would all kind of hang out together at the card shows and we'd walk around and they would just hand them stuff. And I always thought that was nice. And they, it might be junk cards, but they'd get so happy about it. They'd have big smiles on their face. Oh, Dad, look what I got. They'd be so excited about that and they'd look at that or,
the one show where Daniel got handed an 89 Upper Deck baseball set, like a full set. Like I was down like a couple tables down and he comes running over with it, showing me. I'm like, where did you get that? Go put that back. He's like, no, the lady gave it to me. I'm like, what? And so I walked down there and he's like, yeah, he can have it. It doesn't have the Griffey in it, but he can have it. I'm like, all right, fair. So he got it. And to this day, he still has the entire 89 Upper Deck set minus the Griffey.
Never bothered to get around to getting the Griffey, huh?
No. And the only person that would have been me. And I don't care about baseball really. So
right.
I don't pay attention. I could probably pick one up if I wanted to, but I don't. So
yeah, it's not a rare card by any means. A 89 Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card. But yeah,
they're probably still printing them.
Probably, and I remember like when Panini gave your kids some box cutters. That was nice.
Oh yeah, that was awesome of them. The box cutter thing. I forgot about that. I'm glad you brought that up.
Baby's first box break.
Baby's first jugular vein cut. Ugh. Yeah. No, it was the kids' break, the free break bag thing. And inside the bag, there were all these, free swag for kids. And one of them was a knife. It was the box cutter, which it was a safety box cutter, of course, so it retracts itself and everything. But still, the fact that it was loaded with a razor blade. I mean, yeah, sure. Some kids are responsible and would know what to do with it. Mine weren't going to like use it and try to stab each other or, hold up a bank or anything with it. But it's not to say that there aren't plenty of kids out there that would be like, oh, look at this, cut their arms or something. It was just silly. I thought it was It was kind of a ridiculous thing, but whatever.
Okay.
Or no, I'm
so-
overreacting. I'm not the kind of parent that puts their kids in bubbles. Trust me, I'm not. I'm absolutely not. But I'm also not going to hand them the weapon of mass destruction to kill themselves with either.
Well, I think it's less about them hurting themselves and more them just doing stupid kid things that we would do and not really think too hard about it.
I mean,
But
heck, we had switchblade combs when we were kids.
combs?
Combs for your hair, you know.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
I know I have no use for one today, but back then I had some long, luxurious hair.
I don't use a comb. I use a hairbrush. I used to have long hair, so then I got into the hairbrush thing. And then when I cut my hair, combs are not ergonomic. They're stupid. I just don't like them. Brushes have a nice feel to them. They have a nice handle. I could do more with a brush, I think. So I'm more of a hairbrush kind of guy, believe it or not.
Yeah, I could see that. I didn't like the brushes because they gave my hair a lot of static and made it poofier than it already was. I already had a hair helmet. I didn't need to have a hair moon over my head.
Gotcha. So you want to talk?
Moon.
What's that?
It's
That's
a
no moon.
space station.
You want to talk about a couple of first round picks signed with their teams now that their collegiate seasons are over.
Yeah, how about that?
So what is it? Matty Beniers signed with the Seattle Kraken, and Owen Power was the first overall pick, signed with the Buffalo Sabres. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how, they're both on teams that aren't playoff bound teams. So it's not like they're jumping into any very high pressure situations, but at least this gives them an opportunity to play with the NHL guys, get some time on a few of the lines, see how they gel with different quality of players on both of those teams, and see what's in store for them. Plus, the good thing is now it guarantees they get a rookie card.
Oh yeah, for the this fall for
year.
series. Sorry, what I said. Okay, hold on. Let me check myself. I said this fall when series 1, and then I kind of trailed off because, you know what? By the fall we'll probably be getting series 2 of 21-22.
It's still not showing up on the radar on anybody's release calendar. So,
do you happen to know offhand, just off the top of your head, have you seen a checklist for series 2 yet?
A checklist? No.
Okay. I have a feeling that by the time Upper Deck Series 2 comes out and it has a card of Marc-Andre Fleury pictured as a Chicago Blackhawk, he will already have changed teams 2 more times. I know we had a National Hockey Card Day of Fleury as a Blackhawk, and that was actually kind of nice because he was actually a Blackhawk when that card came out. But now I feel like when Upper Deck Series 2 comes out and it's like Marc-Andre Fleury, goaltender, Chicago Blackhawks, by that point he will have played for Minnesota, Edmonton, and then gone back to Pittsburgh or something like that.
Wow, that's something. I don't think he's leaving Minnesota anytime soon.
He's an unrestricted free agent, so he can sign wherever he wants to at the end of the seasons or after the end of the season.
So you're anticipating series. We don't see series 2 until after the season's over.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I'm
kidding.
You
don't think it's going to pop up in the middle of the playoffs sometime?
I mean,
you're just going to spring it on us and be like, "Hey, this comes out tomorrow," and everybody's going to be like, "What?"
Usually we kind of catch wind of things within 2 weeks of when it's like, then you see like the sell sheets. Well, the sell sheets, and you start seeing solicitations and pre-sells, and maybe we've already seen some of that. I don't really get into the whole pre-sell thing. Like
pre-sales have been going for quite a while, but the problem is they don't have any dates to them. So you buy into all of these pre-sales, and you could be sitting for quite a while. I mean, people pre-sold the cup last year, and I mean, we're getting close to the halfway point, and we still don't see it. We're talking last year, so I mean, we're still getting 2021 releases,
right?
I mean, one just came out.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to the hockey card section of our podcast. Not that it matters.
That's why I didn't say what it was. I'm keeping it a surprise.
Keeping it suspenseful. I want to talk just a little bit about Ryan Getzlaff because he announced that he's going to retire at the end of the season. And, I'm very happy for him that he had a long and illustrious career. But, whenever you see a guy that has played over 15 years and then he retires, I feel like, especially the older we get, you always get a little sad when a guy like that retires, because then it kind of reminds you of your own mortality. When you go, Ryan Getzlaf, no way. I mean, I remember when he was a rookie back in 05. And that was a long time ago. And then you start thinking, oh man, I was only, 30 years old. And then you start to kind of, like you'll feel really old once Crosby and Ovechkin retire, and then you'll just be like, no way, this seems like yesterday. Yeah, so he's retiring. So as of this recording, he's got 1,151 games played, 282 goals, 731 assists, 1,013 points during the regular season. Won a Stanley Cup in 2007. He was an Olympic gold medalist in 2010, 2014, silver medalist in the World Championships in 2008, just that close to being a triple gold club member. World Cup of Hockey gold medal in 2016, well, maybe that can count. World Junior Championship gold medal in 2005, and an under 18 World Championship gold medal in 2003. So, guy's got a lot of gold medals, and he's got a cup. He doesn't have any individual awards, but he does have over 1,000 points. Do you think he's going to get in the Hall of Fame within 3 years of retirement?
Within 3 years?
Yeah, like first ballot, as they like to say, which always makes me barf because that's a baseball thing, and I don't like baseball things in hockey.
No, he's not a first ballot.
Okay, why not? No individual awards?
I don't think he's a first ballot because I think the first ballot Hall of Famers, in my mind, are the guys that are the groundbreaking game changer type guys.
Okay.
The guys that there's no conversation. The fact that we're having this conversation and asking the question tells me he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. You would never ask that question about, not that I'm putting him on line with like Sid or Ovechkin or those types of guys, but I think he's a bubble guy, really, if it boils down to that. Because look, if you played in 1,000 games, you're definitely in the consideration in my mind. Because if you can last 1,000 games in the NHL, you're doing something right, obviously. I think another thing that goes with a first ballot guy is you've got to be somewhere near close to a point per game type player, or at least in the ballpark, or be able to supplant that with something else. And there's a lot of guys that, let's face it, the snub list that we talk about every year when they come out with the list of who made it in and who we think should have made it in. I mean, his stats are very similar to people like Daniel Alfredson, Rod Brindamore, Mo Gilney, Theo Fleury, more recently Patrick Iliash. These are all guys that had over 1,000 games.
And over 1,000. Well, but Getzlaf has over 1,000 points.
Yeah, I think what goes for him and what would push him higher than the rest of those guys maybe would be the international medals.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, the Hockey Hall of Fame isn't just the NHL Hall of Fame, it's the Hockey Hall of Fame. So it's a body of work within the hockey career, and that could be international play, that could be collegiate play, that could be, you could probably make it into the Hall of Fame as just an AHL player, I would imagine. But it's hockey, it's the whole full body of work. And so to me, he's on the bubble. And I know you would vote for Roenick probably before him too. So
well, yeah, of course, but Roenick has like over 500 goals, and what I always say, and I think a lot of people think this way, so what I'm saying here is not necessarily insightful or unique, but I say when a player has 400 goals, it becomes a conversation you should have. Should this guy be in the Hall of Fame? When a player has 600 assists, it becomes a conversation. Should this guy be in the Hall of Fame? If the guy has 1,000 points, it becomes a conversation. Should he be in the Hall of Fame? Now, when all of those numbers go up by 100, then it goes from a conversation to almost a foregone conclusion, i.e., once the guy hits 500 goals, it's like, why isn't this guy in the Hall of Fame? Like, without even, let me ask you this. Does Marian Hossa deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? What does your gut say? He is in the Hall. He was
He is. He definitely wasn't on my radar, at least at that point.
okay, so he retired in 2017. He was inducted in 2020, but then actually inducted in like 2021 because they didn't do a ceremony in 2020. And then in 2021, they only inducted the guys from 2020. He had 525 goals and 609 assists. So again, over 400 goals, 500 goals. So once you get to 500 goals, I think at that point it's really pushing, especially if the other numbers are there. And then when you look and you say, okay, 600 assists, all right. Now in Getzlaff's case, he has 700 assists. Once you start getting to these numbers 100 or more higher than that benchmark of 400 goals or 600 assists, then I think you really start like leaning like, yeah, they should be in. Are there going to be exceptions? Yeah, I mean, of course. And it's not necessarily like a prerequisite. Like there could be a player who has 600 assists, but not necessarily 1,000 points, but he might be just such a good player, or it might be a defenseman. You know what I mean? You get the point. It's not just the numbers game; it's the overall game. And like you said, when I was compiling this information about him, I was surprised at how many gold medals he won. And the thing is that I know like a lot of naysayers say, oh well, I mean, a player can luck into being on a good team. I mean, if you're the third string goalie on a gold medal winning Olympic team, you still had to work hard to get there, and you were still the third best goalie in your country or who was eligible. But you look at this and you go, wow, I mean, this guy if he was a rookie in 2005, he won 2 World Junior Championship gold medals before he became an NHLer. And then after being an NHLer, he won 2 Olympic gold medals and he won a World Cup of Hockey gold medal. And he was a big part of those teams. He wasn't just like the fringe fourth line guy who was like, oh, well, he just happened to be, like you brought up Patrick Maroon earlier. And I love listening to people bitch about Patrick Maroon because like, that guy's lucky, right place, right time. He was on the Blues and then he went to the Bolts and won 3 Stanley Cups, but he didn't do anything. No. If you're on a Stanley Cup team, you did something. Even if it's a small role, you did something. And if you did that small role on one team, and then another team said, hey, we like you, we're going to sign you, and you do that role with that team and they win a cup, and they say, hey, you know what? We like what you did with us. We want you to stay with us another year, and then another year. It means you're doing that thing right.
Well, I don't want anybody to mistake what I'm saying. Your question was, is he a first ballot? My answer is, I don't think so. Is he a Hall of Famer? Yeah, I think so. He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
I think all those guys I named should probably be Hall of Famers, but I don't think he's necessarily a first ballot.
Gotcha.
All the matrix that you're talking about, all the measurements and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, you look at those lists that he's on, whatever that list may be, third in this, fifth in that, seventh in this, eighth in that. If you look at all the guys around him, you would probably say, oh yeah, there's Crosby, he's in the Hall of Fame. There's Ovechkin, he's in the Hall. There's Patrick Kane, he's going to be in the Hall. There's this guy. So I'm sure a lot of those guys, especially of his peer group, because that 05-06 rookie class was just, stacked.
Ridiculous.
With the players that are there. And I think 38 of the skaters or the forward group out of that class have all gotten to 1,000 games in the NHL.
Right.
Which is huge. That's a huge number for one rookie class, for almost 40 guys out of that group. Not to mention the fact that they lasted that long when the average NHL career is like 3.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And here's these guys that have played that many, played in 1,000 games, all coming out of that same rookie class. That's an astounding feat. So yeah, by no means do I think he's not Hall of Fame material. I just don't necessarily think he's first ballot. I think he'll be snubbed from a first ballot. I think there'll be a lot of questions asked about it, and then he'll probably get in after the fact.
Right.
So
I guess it depends who else retires also at the end of this year and who else has retired.
That's how I felt in football too. Big Ben announced his retirement, and then all of a sudden, oh, Tom Brady's retiring. Like, great.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to be eligible at the same exact time. And Ben going in is going to get overshadowed by the fact that Tom Brady's going in. So the best thing for that was Tom Brady saying, never mind, I'm coming back.
Hmm. Yeah,
So,
I gotcha.
so it's kind of like the same thing, If everybody else that's eligible or available to go in at that time is, I guess, of that balance
Hmm.
lesser in some of those categories, he may have a shot.
Right, right, yeah.
He does have a cup, just one, but he has a cup.
Well, that always seems to be the law. We say, yeah, but he doesn't have a cup.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
what it's all
but
about, right? Winning
he
the
doesn't
cup.
have a cup.
I put
Eh,
more weight in being on a cup winning team than being the guy that wins, the scoring title when you play for a garbage team your whole career.
hmm Wait, you
I
put
would put
more
way
weight
more
on the cup?
on the cup. Oh yeah, by all means,
Okay, so
because
then
that's
Marcel Dion.
it's a team effort.
Marcel Dion
What about him?
won a cup.
I didn't vote for him.
Detroit in the 70s, LA in the 80s, Rangers in the late 80s. Never
I
won a
didn't.
cup.
I didn't vote for him.
Do you think he should not be in the Hall of Fame?
I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be in there, but I'm saying what I'm saying is that gauge. There is that level
Hmm.
that when they see, oh, does he have that hardware? Then it can sway you. Look, the stats are one thing, but if you have the hardware, I think that gets people to overlook some of the stats that may not be as good later on.
Hmm.
So if maybe you're just a little bit shy of some of your peer group on one category, but you have a cup and the other two guys don't, that might be something that pushes you over the top.
Right, right,
That's all.
right.
That's all I'm saying.
Hmm.
And you point out the fact that he doesn't have major NHL awards. I think people put more weight in winning the cup than they do the individual awards.
Hmm.
That's just my opinion.
Okay. Sometimes I feel like it's the other way around.
Like, I don't care how many Art Ross trophies you win. I don't care how many Ted Lindsay awards you win. I don't care
Mhm.
how many Mark Messier leadership awards you win. How many cups did you win? Did you ever play on a cup winning team? Did you ever put yourself in a position where you led your team through the playoffs and won a cup? If you won a Conn Smythe, I'll give you credit there too. Even
Yeah.
if you were the losing side with a Conn Smythe.
Well, there's only been really like a few that I can think of. J.S. Jaguar, Ron Hextall.
Yeah.
Neither of those guys are in the Hall of Fame, nor I don't think they were really Hall of Fame goaltenders. Good goalies for their time, don't get me wrong, and I love Hextall.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ryan Getzlaff retiring. Let's talk hobby stuff.
Sure.
What do you want to start with?
Oh, I don't know. Did you hear the one about the Saskatchewan guy that lost all of his stuff to a theft?
No, tell us.
There's a collector. This
Mm-hmm.
was like posted in a bunch of different media sources. It was like on national news. It even hit some of the papers in the United States, and they don't say anything about Canada ever. So,
Right, yeah.
so this guy had a huge memorabilia collection, and he was a big Gretzky collector. I saw photos and stuff posted online of his setup, and it's ridiculous. He had just jerseys and sticks and gloves and just pucks and signed photos and just all kinds of stuff. But I guess this guy had something like 10,000 of his cards, which over 2,000 of them were Gretzky cards, a bunch of his jerseys, a bunch of the other memorabilia, tons of the autograph stuff, all stolen from a storage unit.
Wow.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy because if you look at some of the stuff that was taken, it's not your everyday run of the mill type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if this pops up on the secondary market anywhere, people are going to ask questions
Right.
because it's a lot of the stuff that was taken is unique. I mean, I think there was something like 18 or 19 autographed jerseys, like actual game jerseys were taken. There were like paintings, like lithograph type stuff that's
Mm-hmm.
serial numbered and everything like that. It's crazy. I guess he had like an O-Pee-Chee graded PSA, like an 8 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So those are serial numbered, and obviously those get logged, but you never know. It's crazy the amount of stuff that was taken. And we keep hearing more and more stories about this same kind of stuff. I mean, it seems like every week there's a different card store, hobby shop getting broke into. There was just one the other day I saw about some breaker that has like a physical shop in California
Mm-hmm.
busted in. And there was one a week or so ago. Somebody walked into the store in broad daylight while the store was open and the clerk was busy and just ripped stuff out of a case and took off. And he was looking at the security camera. So like people could clearly see who this guy was. I mean, it's just like with so much focus and attention on the hobby and so much money to be made, people are willing to do nefarious things to get that money. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough that I can't recall any of my cards ever being stolen. You know, the only thing I could think of that got stolen is I think some of my CDs got stolen when I was in college. Because, you know, like when you have a certain CD and then you can't find it. And like when it's not just one, but it's like 5 or 10, and you're like, wait, I have that album. And then you can't find it and you look up and down and everywhere. But also you keep all your CDs together, or I did on like a big media center. So it would have been really easy for somebody to just grab it and go, you know, like when you have a party. I don't know, did you have parties in college? Or were you like the guys, I gotta study, I can't party right now?
Yep. That was me.
Yeah, no. Like, you know, the thing was is like we'd have parties in college and
Not much the partier I was.
well, I
That
don't know.
sounded like a Yoda statement. I was not much for partying. Let's put it that way.
We used to throw parties, yeah, not like all the time, but like in college, like it was pretty good because like we were like into parties, but not every single weekend. Like we weren't like, hey, let's have people over every single weekend. But we were usually pretty like on the same page. We'd be like, hey, let's have a party this month, you know, and we'd like figure out a date where like, you know, none of us had like a final project due like that Monday or something. So we were kind of smart about it. And then like
Yeah.
post college, I remember we'd have maybe a party every month or every other month because you're out of college, so you don't have homework, you have money because you're working a real job, and you have time. You're an adult, but you know you're not like in a serious relationship or married or whatever, you know. So like, yeah, I like never had any of my like cool stuff stolen, but like I had CDs stolen, which is just so weird.
I didn't party in college, which looking back on it, I probably should have. Then I wouldn't
Yeah.
have been as crazy as I was from 1999 until 2007. But I would have got it out of my system way earlier. But yeah, I had CDs stolen out of my car once.
Hmm.
They only took 5 though, and they took all the change from my cup holder.
Oh,
They didn't take anything else. Like I had the title to my car in there and everything. They didn't take any of that.
wow.
At the time, I lived in a state where transfer of title only required one signature.
Really?
How's that for a weird law?
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah. So
So sounds like a
they could
very
have they could
easy
have
law.
taken ownership of my car, but luckily that wasn't taken. Nope, they took my cup full of change, which probably had I don't know, $6, $7 in it. And then they took like 5 CDs out of the little visor slide
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Mm-hmm. So, something I want to talk about. I kind of went on this like crazy bender over the weekend, but it wasn't like a drinking bender. It was retail boxes. I went on a retail box bender. Would you call it a blaster box bender? Only these weren't blasters, these were mega boxes. Although they're called mega blasters, but I like to call them mega boxes because that's what when I first heard about them, that's what they were called. So you have your blaster boxes, which have like 6 to 8 packs, depending on where you buy them. And then you have your mega boxes, which have like 10, 11, or I remember once upon a time, I think they had about 12 packs. I remember them being like almost like half a hobby box or like, you know, half a box, you know, like 12 is half of 24. So you think of a hobby box being 24 packs.
That math checks out.
Yeah. 12 divided by or times 2 is 24, right?
I feel like they missed an opportunity here. They could have called it a Master Blaster instead of a Mega Blaster.
A Master Blaster or
You
Blaster
have a
Master?
Blaster and a Master Blaster. That's what they should have done. Because 2 men enter, 1 man leaves.
Oh, see, you're thinking of Master Blaster from Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
Yes.
And I'm thinking of the video game Blaster Master.
Oh. Yeah, that doesn't work. It goes the other way. Master Blaster. Instead of Mega. Or let's call it a Blammer. So we mix the two. It's a Blammer. Yes.
No. That sounds like some Panini garbage right there.
It's a Kaboom.
It's a Kaboom, right. You know, I mean, and I meant to tweet this out, but like, I'll just say this to our listeners. You know what? Us hockey collectors, we had the Kaboom before the Kaboom. Remember Crunch Crew?
Yep, absolutely.
Crunch Crew. Yeah, we had Crunch Crew, and I liked those cards.
In the early score products? They
Yeah,
had
91,
they had them in football, too.
Did they have Crunch Crew in football?
Yes, sure did.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I actually got the Jeremy Roenick Crunch Crew card signed by Roenick when I was a kid. Because, you know, most people would probably bring them a rookie card. And, I got rookie card signed. Don't get me wrong. But I was just like, this is cool because he looks like he's in a comic book with the big explosion and boom or whatever, right?
Right.
But then I also have the Doug Gilmour Cowboy card autographed. So there you go.
What was that? Pinnacle Profiles or something like that?
Yeah, Pinnacle Sidelines.
Sidelines, that was it.
Yeah, I asked him about that. And I said to Doug,
I'm surprised he'd even agree to sign it. He'd probably look at that and be like, oh my God, get this away from me.
I went to a Blackhawk convention one year and Gilmore was there. I mean, he played with the team for all of a season and a half, and then they unloaded him to Buffalo. But so he's a Blackhawk alumni. So he'll come to the convention. And I said to the handler, because a lot of like the players, you hand the thing to the handler and then they like rotate it and slide it in front of the player. They sign it. And then another handler grabs the item and hands it back to you. So it's like an assembly line, you know, depending on the player. If it was somebody like the great Tony Esposito, you'd walk up to him. He'd say hello. He'd ask you how you're doing. You'd hand him the thing that you were going to get signed. He'd look at it. He'd say something about it. He'd say, where do you want me to sign it? You know what I mean? It was like a conversation. It was an exchange. You go to a newer player, you hand somebody else the thing, and they put it in front of the guy. So I handed it to the handler, and I said, I'd like Doug to sign this in silver if he's willing to sign it. And he looked at it, and he was like, oh! And then he looked at Doug Gilmour, and he says, what's the story with this? And then Gilmore did like a double take, and he's like, it was Toronto. Toronto made me do that. It was for a photo shoot. They said I was an urban cowboy.
Urban cowboy.
And then he signed it in silver, and then the other handler took it and got a laugh out of it too and handed it back to me. And I'm like, all right, I got a Pinnacle Sidelines card of Doug Gilmour as a cowboy.
You know how some players get, though, about they won't sign certain cards that look a certain way or have them featured a certain way and stuff like that. So I'm surprised if it was that embarrassing that he would even agree to sign it.
I don't think he was that. I mean, he was embarrassed by it, but I don't think he was like, I will not sign this card. Like, I mean, people could just say, I won't sign this card, and that's it. You know what I mean? And I know there are certain players who don't sign certain cards. I don't have a master list, but just from my former life as a through the mail autograph collector, I remember Randy Carlyle would never sign his 87-88 Topps card. Looks like he has gas in that card or something. And Mel.
Which one would he sign?
Ooh, Carlyle?
Yeah.
87-88 Topps. And then
Man, if I was him, I wouldn't sign the 89-90 Topps one where it looks like I have a tiny body, shrunken head.
And then Mel Bridgman won't sign his 83-84 card where he's missing teeth and he's like, they painted like New Jersey Devil colors on him.
Oh, yeah.
That one. And then surprisingly, Arturs Urbe is on this list, but the reason isn't surprising. He will not sign the 90-91 Russian Red Army insert card.
That makes sense.
He'll sign the one where he's with Dynamo Riga. He will not sign the one where he's with the Soviet Red Army. And from what I understand, well, when the Red Army would do that tour of the NHL and they played at different NHL teams, what they would do is they'd sometimes pull guys from other teams and like put them on the Red Army team. So that's what they did for that tour. Although it's weird because he also has a card with Dynamo Riga. So I guess like one year he toured with them, and then another year he toured with the Red Army, but both of those cards came out at the same time. I don't know. But yeah, so he won't sign that card because he was more or less a conscript, which is kind of weird if you think about it. Well, but anyway, so
That
wow,
makes
we got
sense.
really off topic here. So
That's what we do best.
my mega box bender. I bought 5 mega boxes at Target. Now, I actually did buy 3 mega boxes before this, and I opened them, and I was like, oh, I'm going to post box breaks of these, and then I just never got around to it because other things takes precedence. And honestly, I mean, I like posting box breaks every now and then, but I couldn't do it every day. I just get tired of scanning cards, and it was actually more fun to do it on Twitter, and I think that's what I'm going to start doing from now on, because I like posted a picture of like the boxes. I said, I'm going to open these, and then everyone was like, all right, let us know what you got. Let us know what you got. So my first 3 mega boxes, I bought 3 mega boxes and a blaster box, and I decided that I like the mega boxes better. Then I was at Target the other day, and they had 5 mega boxes on the shelf. And, there's that age-old question that plagues us card collectors. How many do you buy when you see 5 of them? If there's 1, you buy 1. If there's 2, you don't want to leave behind the one that has the potential good card, right? So then it becomes like a dilemma, right? Like if there's a ridiculous amount, like 20, then you just grab like 4 and you say, all right, I'll grab 4 and I just hope for the best, right? But if there's like 3, 4, or 5, then you're like, do I leave one behind? How much do I want to spend on this? And so these mega boxes cost $40 each, which is not cheap, but you get 10 packs. You get 10 packs, and then you get an 11th pack with, they call it the rookie class set. So anyways, my cost for the boxes with tax, but minus the Target 5% discount, was just under $210. So $210, and that got me 10 packs and 5 boxes, so that's 50. So that's the equivalent of 2 hobby boxes, right? 2 hobby boxes is 48 packs.
Right.
Right? Does that check out?
Yeah, that checks out.
Okay. I'm glad my simple math is right. I'm not using a calculator, folks. I'm just using my head. So I guess the thing is like, you're not going to get 2 hobby boxes for $210, are you?
2 hobby boxes? No.
No. So here's basically what I got. You get your 5 mega boxes, you get 10 regular packs per box, and then you get an 11th pack, which is something called a rookie class pack, which had 3 shiny rookie class cards. You get 400 total cards. So this was my just very generic overview of my breakdown. 353 base cards among the 5 boxes, and I pulled 14 Young Guns.
Okay.
Hobby box, you're going to pull 6. That's kind of the guarantee, 1 in every 4 packs.
So you basically got 2 more than you would have in 2 hobby boxes.
Right. Now, of course, I was lucky because it guarantees you, it just basically says find 2 Young Guns rookie cards per box on average, because there's 10 packs. When it used to be 12 packs, you would always get 3. Now that it's 10 packs, you might get 2, you might get 3. I somehow beat the odds because 4 of my 5 boxes had 3 Young Guns. And then on top of that, another 33 non-Young Gun inserts, and then on top of that, the 15 rookie class shiny cards, because you get a pack of 3 in every mega box. So I liked doing this. I mean, I feel it's definitely riskier in a way, because like with the hobby box, you're going to get 6. And also,
what was your total?
Total what?
The total for the 5?
Total of what? 353 base cards, 14 Young Guns.
It was 200. You spent 200?
210 with tax.
So basically $40 less than what I would have spent for 2 hobby boxes, and you got 2 extra Young Guns.
So what's the going rate for a hobby box now?
I was getting them for 130.
Oh yeah, that is actually a good price because I see them like 140, 150, like in that territory.
The 2
So
hobby shops closest to me have them for about 130.
okay. Now I think that price is total BS because they should not be $130 a box by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, but I think like we said last year when that was the case, I think that ship sailed.
Yeah, except last year, and I didn't get any Lafrenières and I didn't get any Kaprizovs, but last year I went exclusively the retail route.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather pay $3 or $4 for a pack of cards than $8 for a pack for the same pack of cards. And the only difference being, oh, you might get another portrait card if you buy a hobby box or a hobby pack. I'm not that interested.
But portraits, they're awesome.
Last year's were awesome. This year's just okay.
But this year was my idea.
It was an idea.
It was my idea that was stolen. So,
No, because you said you wanted it to look like a wanted poster.
I did, but they just used the color. They didn't make it change. I think they should have posed pictures, like did like a photo shoot with guys and made them look like Gaucho Doug Gilmour.
Yeah, they should have put cowboy hats on them and said, you're an urban cowboy.
Yep.
So if I had spent 40 more bucks, I could have gotten 2 hobby boxes at the store that you go to.
But
And
as a comparison, though, dollar for dollar, you could have got 1 extra mega box. You could have got 6 for the price of 2 hobby boxes, and then pulled another 2 or 3 more Young Guns. So
right,
really, you could have came out 16 up versus 12 for the
right,
same price. So in essence, you'd be up 4 or 5 more
right,
if you're just shooting for going for the rookie cards.
right. Yeah, well, I think that's the thing.
But you wouldn't have got this fancy PK Subban jersey card that I got.
that I couldn't even sell for $3 if I wanted.
Me neither.
And then just kind of quasi-related to this, I'll just bring this up really quick. So Upper Deck announced that they're doing a store exclusive, not an e-pack exclusive, but a store exclusive. They're selling something called a Team Triples Blaster. So this is a blaster box that has 8 packs for $30. And then it includes a 9th pack, which is a Team Triples pack, which basically is a card that shows 3 popular players from the same team, hence the name Team Triples. Now, I know last year Target had the Team Triples. I can't remember if they were hobbies or I can't remember what they came in. I do remember getting a lot of Team Triples cards. Nobody wanted them. Nobody wanted to trade for them. Nobody wanted to buy them at a show. And I kept getting Ottawa Senators. I got like 2 of the same Senators card. And I'm like, oh, great. That's going to really fly out of my hands. Not, right? But, so like those sorts of cards are hit or miss. It seems that like the O-Pee-Chee glossy rookie card packs seem to be a little more popular because Alexis Lafrenière was in there and Connor McMichael was in that and a couple of Blackhawk rookies, a couple of rookies on like some of the more popular teams. But anyway, so yeah, just something to think about.
They've done those Team Triples before for quite a few years.
Yeah.
I remember the ones from like 16.
Yeah.
They looked like those, you remember those mini tops cards? They did them for basketball, like where you had like the 3 cards together and you could perforate and punch them out.
80-81 tops because you have the Magic Johnson and Larry Bird are on the same card.
Yeah. I think the 16 ones look just like that.
Interesting. Could you tear them apart?
I don't think you could. I just remember them being like there were 3 little strips surrounded by a border. And then like last year's just had the 3 players kind of superimposed over each other on those. They do like a triple exposure kind of thing too with it. Like I think the Tim Hortons release has something like that too. Or it's called Team Trios or something.
Okay.
It's something very similar to that. But those carry a pretty high ticket.
I mean, well, Tim Hortons is a popular set, so I mean, I know you're not a fan of Upper Deck Series 1, so you're not doing that I liked it enough that I'm going to keep doing it. And
I mean, I'm building the set just because, but I'm not going to go out of my way and pick any more up.
right.
That's for sure. I'm not getting burned on that.
Nah, I
I'm done
gotcha.
with that crap. Sorry to sound jaded, everyone. I just really felt like that was rough. Anyway, not to beat a dead horse. We talked about that last time, so I won't rehash bad memories.
Graded cards. Your favorite thing, graded cards.
Yeah, we go from one bad thing to another.
So what is this? Gemrate.com reported that about 1.2 million cards were graded last month by the top 4 grading companies.
If you look at like hobby metrics and stuff like that and try to pull statistics and all of those kind of things, I mean, there's plenty of people that are out there that are smarter than me that can figure this stuff out. But one of the sites that actually tracks some of that information is Gemrate, and it makes it easier to follow auctions and track serial numbers and things like that to come out of the grading company. So they look at the top 4 graders and see kind of where they're at in the grading process and how many things have been graded each month, and they put statistics up on their website. I don't know if they have a pay service to get this info, but most of it, what I found is free that's out there. But something I thought was interesting is with all the focus on grading and everything, and people so over the moon about it, and it's the be all end all, and then if you don't have graded cards, then you're a piece of garbage like me. You look at that from the outside looking in, and you're like, what is the focus on this? Why are you trusting all your stuff to these arbitrary companies that just make stuff up and nobody's really an authority on anything? We're just trusting that they know what they're doing. But that's besides the point. So they look at the 4 major companies, and I thought, I wonder how much of that is actually hockey cards. So I was kind of looking at what they show on there, and about 23% of what's being graded at all of the companies for the last month. And so the last numbers were for the month of March. 23% of everything that was graded was hockey. I was actually shocked by that.
I am too, because that's almost a fourth. 10% seems like where it should be.
I thought it would be in the teens myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, 23% if you add up the numbers. Obviously there's almost 200,000 cards that were graded at PSA that were hockey related, about 26,000 at SGC, another 42 at Beckett, and about 12,000 at CSG. Some of the metrics might be off a little bit because I know CSG doesn't do non-sport. I don't think they do gaming cards either. Maybe they do now. I'm not sure if they do. But, there's obviously different things that go into it, but just the raw numbers. And you'd have to actually look at where the data comes from specifically and read all the asterisks and the fine print on all of their math. But just looking at it on the surface, I thought that was kind of a surprising thing because I could have sworn that number would be a lot lower.
Mm-hmm.
And I was surprised to see it as high as it was. So what does that tell me? That tells me that a lot more people and a lot more eyeballs are on hockey.
Paying attention now.
Yes. That's what that tells me. Good, bad, or otherwise, that's the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's good and it's bad. I mean, we've talked about this before. Like, we like enough attention being showered on hockey that we get more stuff. But when there's too much attention on it, then you get too many people that are like, there's like too much competition, when you want to buy a box of Upper Deck Series 1 hockey and you're willing to pay like $70 or $80, but then somebody with deeper pockets is just going to buy cases of it and break them or whatever. You know what I mean? It makes it harder then. I felt the same frustrations a lot in like the early 90s. Like, you had that initial swell where there was more interest so that it was easier to find hockey cards, but then it drew a lot of investors. But you know what? So much stuff was printed back then, like limitlessly printed, that the only thing I've struggled to find in the early 90s was O-Pee-Chee Premier, and that had to be imported, because that wasn't available in the US and the price shot up ridiculously like overnight. So that was like a problem. That was probably the one set I had problems finding. But like all the other stuff, no. But like, so here I feel that's kind of like part of it, right? We're competing with people who aren't really into hockey. They just want to make a quick buck off of it, or maybe a not so quick buck off of it. And that's going to drive up the price. And I think the thing you mentioned about grading, what bothers me a little bit about this is that you get those cards that, like an SP Authentic card that has an autograph on it. and they're just going to grade it. They're going to get it graded. And it used to be like you can find an SPA autographed, Future Watch card ungraded. Maybe every now and then you'd find one that was graded. And now it seems that, like, because those cards are so popular, because they have an autograph and because they're serial numbered, they're going to get graded that much quicker. Wouldn't you say?
Quicker?
Well, more likely to get
Would
graded.
be more likely to be graded.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
people are they would be quicker to get that graded than some other card.
Yeah.
Other than maybe a Young Gun. You know what I mean? But all things otherwise, like.
Yeah, if you were going to create a rule to this madness, you would basically say, okay, what is gradable? All right, well, the desirable cards are Young Guns as a base card. So we'll go with that. But any other base card that's not a short print, not serial numbered, not some kind of variation or rare, hard to find thing, why would you even do that? I mean, that's what everybody complains about, why these grading companies are backed up on submissions now too, right? Because everybody and their brother sent base cards in.
Right.
Every base card imaginable, and it hit more in football, basketball, and baseball than in hockey, I think, because most hockey collectors already know that I don't care about base cards unless I'm a set builder or something of that nature. If I'm looking for the money aspect of it or the high ticket, I'm putting this card away because someday it's going to buy me a new house. Base cards are not where the money is. The money's going to be in the high desirable Young Guns or FWAs or RPAs and all that kind of stuff. So things that I don't understand, the base card, why grade base card if it's not one of those things? And why grade a 1 of 1? Those are things that blow my mind.
Right. Yeah, I understand.
Like if you grade a 1 of 2 and somebody else has the 2 and it's not graded, well, there you go. That makes sense. But a 1 of 1, there's only one. You have one.
Right.
Grade it, don't grade it, run it over with your car. It's still a 1 of 1.
Right.
Who cares? You know what I mean? It's the
Right.
only one. Do whatever you want with it. Light it on fire. It's still the only one.
Well, then it'd be a 1 of none if you burned it.
Burn half of it. Then it's a 1 of 1. You only have half the card. Where's
One
the
of
other
one.
half? Doesn't exist. It's
Right.
gone. I mean, heck, the Hannes Wagner that was torn in half sold for like $1 million. So why not?
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
So
So hey, there's a hockey show coming in Pittsburgh.
yeah, I don't know if you got a chance to see anything about that, but it's a huge hockey memorabilia show. It's going to be at the Ramada Inn on West Chestnut in Pittsburgh, and obviously I don't live in that area anymore, but this is a memorabilia show. This isn't geared as a like trading card show or a sports card show or anything like that. This is a hockey memorabilia show. It's called the Game Worn Jersey and Equipment Expo. It's going to be on May 7th. And I just kind of heard about this, started reading about it. I guess the guy that started it, this started in Detroit about 20 years ago. Over the years, he's done like 7 different shows like this, and they've all been pretty successful and popular. And he's had dealers from all over the country set up at these shows. Now, obviously, being at the Ramada, this isn't like a convention center show with thousands of tables. I'm sure there's going to be a very select amount, but I imagine considering it's an expo, which is both show to sell and show to show, there's going to be a lot of cool stuff there. And I'm anxious after it happens to see if people actually go and post some of the cool stuff that may show up there. They're billing it as just kind of a hockey everything from a memorabilia, jerseys, equipment, sticks and pucks and everything, and not just NHL stuff, but international, junior, AHL, ECHL, just anything. The guy that started this was a big minor league hockey fan and started with picking stuff up from smaller local teams where he was, and then it kind of just blew up. He found similar like-minded collectors and got together, and it just kind of went from there. So there's more information. We could probably post a link to.
Oh yeah, we'll do that
in the show notes, but It's very interesting. It caught my eye because it sounded like something different. Usually you hear about card shows and card shows and card shows and card shows. This is strictly a memorabilia show. So I think it's kind of interesting.
So no cards allowed is what you're saying?
I'm not saying that. I don't know what the rules are, but it's not being billed as such. So if that's
Well, I
what
think
it's
it's interesting
different,
that it's a hockey show.
right. That's the other thing. It's geared towards hockey and it's not in Canada.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah. So it's pretty cool. I wish I could go to it.
Yeah, me too. So what about we got some new releases that came out. We got some new 2021 cards.
Yeah.
We're towards near the end of the 21-22 season. We're still getting 2021 cards coming out. So Premiere came out, 2021 Premiere. 6 cards for $470.
Yeah, how about that?
That's a lot of money.
Of
Of course, the cards on the sell sheet look nice, but it's a lot.
They do. Now keep in mind that's the low price for that.
Mm-hmm.
If you go on certain other sellers sites, that number pushes in the 5 to 525 range.
Wow. You're
I
looking
found
about
a few.
$90 a card.
Yeah, I found a few that were selling for that price, which is why I threw that out there to you. And I will tell you that during our last show, my local store owner reached out to me and offered me a box. And when I saw that they were selling for $525, I said, nope. And he's like, I don't think it's going to be that much. He's like, more like 450, 460. So I was like, compared to 525, that's a little more reasonable, but it's also way too much.
Right.
Because I'm not about, $50 a card or more. And I've seen a bunch of breaks of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's feast or famine. It really is when it comes to a lot of these boxes. I've seen quite a few that have opened where there's been one card that may net you 60 to 70 bucks and a bunch of $10 or $20 cards. That to me does not justify a $50 per card box at all. But I'm not the audience for this, so
right.
By no means.
So, another high-end set just came out last week by President's Choice Trading Cards. It's called Solid Gold Hockey. 3 cards, $549.
And is it made of solid gold?
No, but one card has a piece of a George Vezina game-worn goalie pad. So every box has a George Vezina pad card, plus 2 other cards. Now, some of the cards that you could get, of course, there's game-used memorabilia, game-used glove, game-used jersey, game-used this, game-used that. Also, cut signatures with, so like one card they show is like Lord Stanley's autograph on a piece of paper that's been cut and then mounted on the card. Another one's a Gordie Howe autograph that's been cut and then put onto the card. And something else that I thought was interesting was called Handwritten Word, and the one that they show is of Lord Stanley, but it looks like it's a word cut from like a letter or something. Like he just wrote a word, wrote something down, and somebody said, oh, well, we'll just cut out this random word and mount it to a card. Not an autograph, just whatever.
Like there's a piece of paper with the word "the" on it.
Well, I don't know. I can't remember what they showed, but maybe not the one I'd want.
They still have pieces left of Vezina stuff. Didn't they have the whole Vezina collection that they chopped up a couple years ago?
I can't imagine that George Vezina had more than one set of leg pads, but maybe he did. I don't know.
I was going to say, I don't, unless they bought a collection or have multiples or something, because I thought, was it 2020 or 2019 they had the Vezina collection? Where it was like 150 boxes limited on this stuff, and it was all
that sounds
pad
right.
cards. Yeah, that's why I was saying I'm surprised they had stuff left to cut up.
So Solid Gold is limited to 300 boxes. So just want to throw that out there. So yeah, we talk about Upper Deck with its $400 or $500 boxes, and you get 6 cards, and then President's Choice, and then you get 3 cards. But I'm not going to say one is better than the other. I mean, if you like new players, you go for Upper Deck. If you like those old players, original 6 players, or even like way before original 6 players, you go for something like President's Choice.
Well, and there's plenty of Leaf hockey products too that have high box prices on them too, where it's just all hits.
Yeah.
Stuff like Superlative and Pearl and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, Pearl. Pearl looks nice. So what else? We have what is this? Upper Deck Ultimate 2021 Ultimate. Supposed to come out this week.
Supposed to. It's another 2021 product.
Is this a high-end type of product?
Oh yeah. It's a higher end product. It's a product that actually still has base cards in it, if you can believe that. And hobby boxes have, I think last year they had 4 cards, so it's probably going to be the same. 3 of them are hits. One of the hits will be like a rookie autograph. There'll be a memorabilia card, and then one of the other. So you might get 2 autos and 2 memorabilias or something like that. And then 1 card is a base card. Mm-hmm. They're all serial numbered, but it's still a base card, which is interesting. Ultimate is what you see that has like the jumbo patches, where it's like, I think on the sell sheet I saw Patrick Kane, where it's like a piece of the shoulder patch with the cross tomahawks. It's a real big patch, like a big chunk of it. And they're all really, really low serial numbered cards. So, I mean, it's nice stuff. Ultimate also usually has the dual shields. So they'll have like the 1 of 1 or 1 of 2, like the NHL shield cards that you see a lot of times. Again, it's a high-end product, but it's a product that still has base cards in it. There's 200 cards in the base set, and you get 1 in a box. It's definitely not a set builder's set by any means. It's for hits.
So anyway, and then we got the rookie class set coming out.
The rookie class is in those blaster boxes. This is the star rookies.
Star rookie box.
Yes,
Star rookies box set.
Correct.
So this is it's a 25 card set, 25 cards.
Sold as a box, as a complete set.
Yeah. Look for 1 rookie autograph per case on average. So if you get an autograph card, they're going to be like 1 in every 20 sets, basically. I like box sets, and I always buy them, but yeah, the case is 20.
This is the one that since 2019-20, like since they were putting this out in 1920, it comes in a box that looks just like a blaster, and the people that like to buy up everything that's on the shelf at a retail store will buy all of these thinking that they're blaster boxes, and they are not. They are complete sets. So make sure you know that going into it, that it's a complete set with a very rare shot at a potential autograph. But again, those autographs are mixed through all of the rookies. So your chances of getting the big guys are probably not as easy as it's going to be to get one of the, as we call them, scrub guns.
Right. They actually, a couple of years ago, I know last year, the Star Rookie set was in a more oblong box, kind of like the Sidney Crosby set or the Connor McDavid set or the Alexei Lafreniere set. Oh, by the way, I got a bone to pick with that set real quick. The Alexei Lafreniere collection.
Mm-hmm.
And 30 cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you buy a box and you get 25 cards. Cards 26 through 30 are short printed, and you only get 1 of those 5 cards. And I was so frustrated by that, because look, if you buy a box set and there's 30 cards and it's a box set, you want to get all 30 cards. If you get an autograph, cool. You beat the odds, you got an autograph. Otherwise, whatever, you still got this complete set. What annoyed me about this is that it's not really a complete set. Cards 1 through 25 are in every box, and in cards 26 through 30, you get 1 of them. So that really annoyed me, because that's Upper Deck saying, we want you to buy more than 1 of these sets. And I think that's absolute garbage.
Yeah, because then you end up with 5 incomplete sets and one complete one.
Right.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just a total garbage move. Like, to try to get people to buy more of the same thing. Okay, we get it with the rookie cards. I don't like it, but we get it, right? But with something like that, like it's a freaking boxed set. So,
and again, this is how it's marketed. It's marketed as a box set, and they know if they're going to put this out, certain people will buy it. But if you're going to capitalize on the fury and the frenzy, well, let's make a chase out of it. So we'll short print 5 cards, or we'll throw in random autographs, or we'll make every 300th set made out of solid gold, or something like that, where it's going to cause people to actually go out and buy cases of a complete set to try to go after all of those things. And inevitably, you're going to end up seeing the sets for sale for next to nothing at one point or another after the fact, because that
Right.
seems to happen every time.
Well, yeah, it's like what happened with the Blackhawk box set from 2013. Those sold new, I think, for like $20, and then you found places selling them for like $8 or $10 because they just made so damn many of them.
The Lafreniere sets, I saw people trying to unload those for like $30-$40 at one point. One of the card shops in my area, who shall remain nameless, had stacks of them up on their front counter, marked at like $14.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, if I want to buy one, no, I don't. And then I just kept walking.
I mean, okay, if you're a Rangers fan, it's worth $14.
Sure.
If you're weird like me and you just want to buy a set of everything, it's worth $14. But if you're also like me and you're going to get angry that they got the last 5 cards are short printed, had I known that, I wouldn't have even bothered, because I don't care that much. I don't like those the Sidney Crosby set that came out in 05-06. I don't care for it. The Connor McDavid
The
set
Diary
that
of
came
a
out,
Phenom or the Phenomenal Beginnings?
which is the one that was the box set.
I think Phenomenal Beginnings was the
Phenomenal Beginnings, right? I think Diary of a Phenom was in the
those are insert
packs. Yeah. So I thought that set was kind of dumb because it's only the first half of his rookie season, because it came out during his rookie season. And the same thing with the Connor McDavid set. It was the first half of his rookie season, and there wasn't really anything prior to his NHL career in that set. So how excited can you get about the first 3 months of the player's career? I mean, yeah, they could do some good things, but I think it's more fun if you release it at the end of the season and it's a retrospective of their first year. But, they're trying to capitalize on the hype of the player as it's still the player's quote unquote rookie year. So let's put out this set, even though it's just the first 5 months or 3 months or whatever.
Well, I get it. Have you noticed, though, the difference between the two of those? Trying to like buy them, not necessarily the full set, but people selling individual cards. The Crosby Phenomenal Beginnings you can have for cheap.
Yep.
Like $1 or less.
Yep.
The McDavid ones, no. People sell the singles from the McDavid set for like a lot. Still.
It's ridiculous, because there's really nothing all that great about that set from what I remember.
No, there isn't. It just looks like a bunch of game dated moments cards.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's really what it is.
I'll tell you what I am excited about is this Kraken box set that's coming out in May.
Uh-oh. They're releasing the Kraken?
They're releasing the Kraken set.
I had to say it.
Well, that's good. Somebody had to say it. I remember when they did the Golden Knight set in 17-18. And
Let's asterisk this first, though, with allegedly, because we still are like, we're not sure when, but supposedly.
Yeah, dates are subject to change, of course. No one's gonna say to Upper Deck.
What's the word they use online? They use it incorrectly. They say supposedly, because that's not even a word.
Well, no one's going to say to Upper Deck, hey, Upper Deck, the Puck Junk Hockey Podcast reported that the set was coming out on May 2nd. It is now May 3rd. And
maybe they will. Our minions of listeners might cause a campaign.
They're gonna hold us to that because that's what we said, right?
Maybe. You never know.
Yeah. What's cool about the set is you get 23 player cards, 7 highlight cards, plus 5 parallels. Now that I don't mind. The parallels, because the Golden Knight set had parallel cards, which had gold foil on them. So they look kind of neat, but they were, 5 in a box, and if you really wanted to build a parallel set, then I could see buying more boxes and trying to get the parallels, but I don't mind if, it's a bonus thing. But 30
These
cards
parallels won't have gold, they'll have seaweed on them.
glow in the dark green or something, kind of like those glow shift cards from Synergy.
Or was it Goodwin or Alan Ginter that did the things you find in the dark set? Where they glow in the dark?
The Monster in My Closet. Or
Monster in My Closet. Yeah, that's it.
Well, that's not what it was, but
something like that.
I like team boxed sets. Of course, when the Blackhawks set came out in 2013, I bought that because it had a card of every player who was in the playoffs or cup finals, and the Golden Knights set had every player to appear that season for the team, including Dylan Ferguson, who played I think 20 minutes of one game. He was a goaltender. And so I just thought, that's cool. I like those sorts of things. So I'm definitely going to buy a Kraken box set whenever it comes out. I mean, I don't think any of them are, I don't know if there's a chance of an autograph or not, but don't care.
There is.
There is.
There is a chance.
Okay.
There is a very slim chance, in fact. If you read through the sell sheet, there's a short printed autograph and a regular autograph. One's 1 out of 150, and the short printed one is 1 out of 250. So it's a very slim, almost slim to none chance, but there is a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the biggest thing to all of this. We don't have a regular product of Kraken.
No.
When Series 2 comes out, we will not have a regular product of Kraken. And I think when Extended comes out, we still may not have a regular product that has Kraken in it.
Well, Series 2 should have it because Series 2 always has updated photos.
Yeah, you would think, but I'm not so sure.
Okay.
I mean, we don't have a checklist yet, so we don't know. And yeah, the Kraken players might be on the checklist, but we don't know what team they play for. We're going to make assumptions.
Well, when Upper
until
Deck
we
Series,
see it, we don't know.
17-18 Upper Deck Series 2 had Golden Knight players.
Yeah, but they also took pictures of everybody at the draft.
For Series 1.
Yeah.
For Series 2, I believe there were some action photos by that point.
But in Series 1, they were wearing the jerseys that they put on.
Yeah, that was from the expansion draft.
Where were we of this expansion draft? We had the same thing. Plus, we had better lighting because it was outside.
Right. Yeah,
So,
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So until we see it, we don't see it. So really, the only shot that you've had other than some game dated moments cards, and if you stray over onto the Tops Now stickers, and if you've really gone off the grid and threw yourself out there and decided to find the what were they, Ampere Trading Card Company. It's a European company. They actually made Kraken cards. They have a 27 card Kraken set that you can order online on their website. Again, it's a European company. So,
and I'm going to ask you how much, and you don't know the answer because you're not into, facts and figures, you said.
Oh, the answer to that is it costs you 35, whatever their currency is.
Euros?
Maybe. Whatever the letter C is with the 2 lines through it. Is that euros?
The 2 lines going horizontally?
Yeah, it looks like an equal sign.
Yeah, it looks like the letter E.
It's like a C with an equal sign in it. I guess that would be an E. Is that the sign for the euro?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then it's 35 euros. So figure out the conversion.
I think euros are worth more than US dollars, so I'll pass.
Well,
it's why I never even bothered with those Russian cards. Well, now I wouldn't anyway, because you'll never get anything from out of Russia. But like the KHL cards.
I've got some individual one-offs. I never bought a set or went all out to try to get them, but I've got some one-offs here and there of various players from different years.
Somebody sent me an Artemi Panarin, a KHL card, and it predates his Young Gun. And that's a keeper. That's okay, this is cool. I like this. I'm hanging on to this. This ain't going anywhere for a while because, it's a pre-rookie card.
These aren't really pre-rookies. They're just European. and they have the players wearing the NHL outfits in game action shots. So I don't know what the rules are in Europe about all that. I don't even know if they're legit, but there is a set out there. But here in the United States and in North America, the only Kraken card we have came from the National Hockey Card Day set.
Yeah, Grubauer. You know, and here's another thing that's just kind of odd is like pre-pandemic, so you had the 17-18 season. Upper Deck really went all in on trying to really grow collecting in Las Vegas for the Golden Knights. And I'll give you just a couple of quick examples. There were, as you said, there were Golden Knights players in Series 1. They were pictures from the expansion draft, but still it was cool to see that.
Absolutely.
Then they also did that box set at the end of the season, which, again, I thought that was cool. But then you'll remember that during the National Hockey Card Day, there were Golden Knight insert cards in the National Hockey Card Day packs. You remember those?
Yep.
Now, let me tell you, those cards were very hard to find. And I remember when I talked with Chris Carlin, who's no longer with Upper Deck, he's now with, collectors.com. But I asked him about that, and so what they did was they actually ended up making those Golden Knights cards more readily available in Las Vegas. Like, I think they sold them in like packs or something in stores in Vegas. And I said, so why are you doing this? You made these cards like these really hard hits in National Hockey Card Day packs, but now you're also making them kind of easier to get later on in the season. Why is that? And he said, you know, we like the fact that the cards are desirable, that there's a good aftermarket value, you know, that people want them. He said, but it's very hard to grow new collectors when every card they want is $20 right off the bat. So it was like the demand had exceeded the supply. The guy who's been collecting for 20 years, he's going to be like, all right, I'll pay $20 for that card and this one and build the set. And the people who are new are going to see like, okay, this is too difficult. This is too much. I'm not doing this. Now, that's not what Chris said. And I'm paraphrasing some of the other stuff that he said. But basically the gist of it was it wasn't a good way to get new collectors excited by pricing them out of these cards before they can even really have a chance to collect them. And so I thought that was a good point, because at the end of the day, it's really not about aftermarket value. It's about getting the cards that you like you say, collect what you like. And if you make it too hard for people to collect what they like, and especially if they're new collectors, then they can't do that. Now, with the Kraken, there's really nothing Kraken to collect other than that one Philip Grubauer card and a Topps Skate digital card and maybe some Topps Now stickers, which we don't even talk about anymore because I just don't care.
And the game dated moments cards, and that's it.
Oh, and let's not forget, in the Topps Hockey sticker album collection, there is a Kraken logo that's made up of like 12 individual cards that you piece together to make a giant Kraken logo. That just basically fills the whole page. It's not very creative. And it's kind of a pain in the butt to like piece together because you're trying to line them all up nice, you know?
Yeah. Hopefully you're right and we get something in Series 2 or an extended, but I'm not holding my breath. And if this ends up being the one and only set for a while that has Kraken cards, I feel bad for the Seattle fans. So hopefully I'm wrong.
So anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this one up?
That pretty much hit all of the
notes.
Things we were going to discuss, more or less.
Okay. Well then, thank you for listening to the Puck Junk Hockey Podcast. As always, if you've enjoyed the show, please be sure to like and subscribe and tell people that you know about our show. And until next time, collect what you like.
For more hockey goodness, follow us on Twitter @PuckJunk.